All right, guys, what's happening? In this video, I'll be going through how I invest. So, some kind of like the methodology in my mind, and it's not investment advice per se for anyone to do anything based on what I'm about to say, but it's how I invest, and it's the indicators that I look for in a project that is, that seems promising at the moment. So, all right. So the first thing I do is go to OpenSea.io and rankings. And I've been in the industry for 2 to 3 years, so I have a good idea of who's been around for a while, who's building what games. I pretty much join every single Discord to see what's happening, how active they are, how much community members stick around for. I join it, a year later, it's got the same community members, still pretty buzzed up about the game, playing the game or the project or making art, whatever they're doing. So I know for me personally, it's about what industries are stable. But looking at data, what I normally do is go to OpenSea.io/rankings. I see if there's a spike in volume. So Rareable for a very long time wasn't even on the chart. Suddenly they are on the chart. So they've been staying there for a while. Makes me pay attention. Axie Infinity as well. They haven't been in the top 10, 20, but I think because most of the trading volume happened somewhere else. Now they've been on the charts for maybe a couple of weeks, a few weeks, so something's been going down there. Super Rare, I know they've been on the topping the charts for a long time. Meme out of nowhere has come at number 7. So, like which projects have been here for a while. Sometimes you'll see something spike up here, like CryptoPunks was like at 3,000 or 2,000 Ethereum. Now it's dropped down a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if it drops all the way down for a while. Gods Unchained as well was all the way up here, 500, 600 Ethereum. They're all the way down to 40 Ethereum volume. So, for me, it's about which projects are around for a while and stable. So once you check up on this and you kind of use it to go in and see what's happening, you get an idea. So, but for example, I'm into Decentraland quite a lot, and Decentraland's been at the top of the charts or in the top 10 for a very long time. And now a lot of these are getting attention. I'm pretty sure DCL will also get its own attention soon. In terms of total volume, you can see total volume kind of gives you an indication as to which projects have been in the top charts for a long time. So you can see Crypto Kitties, Decentraland, Crypto Celebrities. Honestly, never heard of them. They must have been one of the early ones. My Crypto Heroes, Rareable seems to be pretty high as well now, Gods Unchained, etc. So that these guys, for the most part, have been, a lot of them are pretty, I wouldn't say safe, but they're interesting at the very least to jump into. So that being said, let's just pretend that I'm interested in something in Decentraland, and I'm going to go through some other projects as well. What I normally do is I go to the marketplace for that specific project. It could be different for Decentraland, different for Gods Unchained, different for Axie Infinity, or basically every project has its own marketplace, right? So when you go to the marketplace, what I like to do is I like to sort by the cheapest. So say, for example, I'm interested in a land, I'll go to view all, and I guess everyone kind of does this where they just sort by the cheapest, and they say, all right, well, it looks like the cheapest land available is 7,500 mana, 8,000 mana. It's about 650 USD at the moment. So, and it looks like, for 3, 5, about 10 lands later, it'll be 10,000 mana being the cheapest. So it doesn't take that many, I think 12, yeah, 10. It's not going to take that many people to come in and buy these lands. So to kind of push the price up to 10,000 mana. So what I'd like to do is I'm like, all right, well, if the 7,500 mana is the cheapest, I like to find lands that are in really good locations that are cheaper than the cheapest. Or are kind of at a better price, or a price that's so low that when I get it, I can almost sell it immediately if I have to. So I like that sort of liquidity. So if I sell it, it'll have demand on the marketplace. So with that being said, I rarely go for something really expensive unless it's warranted or it's in a really good place. For example, this one's not too bad. This land is pretty close to Fashion Street. So if Fashion Street starts to pick up, I can guarantee you all of these will pick up in value. So that being said, what I like to do next is I'll go to the Decentraland map, and for anything I'll be interested in, I'll kind of have a hunt around. I like to negotiate a lot of my prices, right? Whether it be Decentraland, this is just showing my methodology. I like to look for some sort of a contact email. So for example, my land, which is this one over here, I put my contact details over here. So I get people that email me offers, or I have negotiations with through conversations, and sometime down the line we close at a price. I know sometimes I've negotiated with people for more than a year. They started off trying to sell the land for 10 million mana, then slowly 5 million mana, then 2 million mana, and then they've come back down to earth and and I've negotiated it down to 400,000 mana, which I bought and then resold for even more. So for me, it's a lot about negotiating, and that being in the, this is probably not true in the art space. In the art space, it's probably more about if you want it bad enough, you'll buy it. But at the end of the day, the artist or the contact details, it's still open for you to talk to them. Maybe be like, hey, like, please let me know about your next drops, or keep me in the loop, and have more knowledge about what's happening so you can make better moves. The contact email and some sort of discussion channel is key here with NFTs. It allows you to buy in at a much more lower price on the market. And all right, so I'll go to something like, all right, let's say I'm interested in this land. We know that the cheapest single parcel is 7,500 mana. This guy's selling 15 pieces of land for 225,000 mana. So that's like 12,000, maybe 13,000 mana each. Oh no, 15,000 mana each, I think. So it's almost double the price, but it's in a midst of districts. It's kind of more central than the rest. But he's got his email here, so I can always email him and be like, hey man, lowest price is 8,000 mana. Would you accept 10,000 mana a piece for this? Yeah, it's in a better location. And that way, he may accept, he may not. But at the end of the day, you get it cheaper from the market, right? So that's a really good thing, especially if you have a stronger buy power. If you're buying like 500,000, 1,000,000 mana worth of land, a lot of these people, they'd be happy to take that offer. It's very difficult to turn down like 50 to 70,000 USD if it's staring you in the face and you've offered someone that, even though it's cheaper for them to do that overall, because it's just, they're not getting, they can get a better deal if they sell it by singles, or maybe wait on it a little bit more. But sometimes these people want to sell, and if there's a price or an offer there, it'll be difficult to turn it down. You can always just bid, and bids will mean that you'll have a bunch of offers here that people can choose to accept or not. So that's Decentraland for the most part. Same thing with wearables. Another thing with DCL is that, you can kind of figure out if this guy doesn't have an email. You can click his wallet address and you can see his other assets to see if you can pick up some sort of a name. Sol, I know this investor, so I can always reach out to him. And you can search for someone called Sol in the Discord or Twitter, etc. that's got to do with Decentraland, and contact him. And anyway, any sort of contact details is key here, in my opinion. Again, with wearables, similar sort of deal. You do that sort of things. You can also go to OpenSea and check out the most recent sales that have happened. So I like to I go to OpenSea, I click on rankings. I'll click on the project Decentraland wearables. I'll click on only sales filter, and it'll tell me the most recent sales that are happening. And I can be like, all right, well, looks like these soccer t-shirts are going for 0.05 to 0.6 ETH. So I can be confident if I were to buy them at 0.3 ETH or 0.03, sorry, that I can sell them at about 0.04. So anyone that has like 20, 30, 50 jerseys they want to get rid of, I can give them a bulk price and see if they accept that offer. Bitcoin glasses recently sold for 2,300, hats, all this kind of stuff. So, in time you will understand what's worth what. I'm coming out with a data website soon that will give you more information about wearables specifically. Again, with land as well, you can see the most recent sold ones on OpenSea, also nonfungible.com. OpenSea seems to have a pretty nice layout where you can just see, all right, the most recent price paid for this was 17,000 mana, 21,000 mana because it's connected to a double road, 8,500 mana. So you can see and keep on top of what the most recent sales are, so what people are actually paying. 15,000 mana for a road connected land, etc., etc. Here's a big estate that sold for 225,000 mana. And yeah, you can get an idea of what's going on, right? And I've also got on dclblogger.com, if you go there, I've got some projects or I guess case studies where I flipped certain pieces for X amount. I know this one was a lot of negotiating involved, so you can click on read more and it'll take you to this case study. In this case study, I go through how I actually negotiated the deal, how I picked it, what was my mentality about this whole thing, even screenshots of the negotiation process, etc., transactions when it happened, my mindset, the profit, blah, blah, blah. So, this is a really good case study to see how it kind of went down. So that's DCL for you for the most part. You also got other projects like, Gods Unchained. And in this case, each card has its own value. You can click it. It's called tokentrove.com. and you can click on all time. You can see that how the buying and selling has gone. So at some point, people were buying this at 0.26 Ethereum. Looks like the floor or a strong kind of stable point is about 0.13, and you can be confident kind of buying these. So someone like me who's investing, I'd be like, all right, well, I'm happy to buy these at 0.14, knowing that since like the last 4 to 5 months, they've kind of kept their value, right? Some cards have not kept their value. Let's see this one. This one, oh, looks like it's kind of same thing. So again, makes you more confident in those decisions. Maybe we can look at the packed chests that I'm actually a big fan of, but I don't think they've been doing that well recently. They've dropped quite a lot. So they dropped from the all-time high, but actually a lot of these assets have been somewhat stable. And it's kind of similar to a cryptocurrency graph, isn't it? You can see the volume as well kind of drop down, but people aren't selling it more than this. There's not that much sell pressure at the moment. Could change if Ethereum goes crazy, but for me, I'm happy to buy these at the floor price at around 0.1, so 0.12 isn't too bad. But if a chart like this was showing you, if this was showing and suddenly you saw a massive spike, well, that will give you an indication that it could be a pump, or if there's a sudden change in the game ecosystem that allows people with that card to have more strategy power, then maybe that's what's causing it. So you can kind of explore and see what it is more sustainably. Again, Twitter is also a great place to see what's going on. I know with Twitter, Axie Infinity had like an announcement saying that Delphi Digital invested in their project and bought a ton of Mystic Axies. So for me, that was an indicator to look a little bit more deeper to see what's happening. And it might actually be very difficult to find this. But Axie Infinity is a game where you can verse these creatures and kind of like a pet universe. They're also releasing some sort of a virtual world gameplay thing component to it, and I think I can find it, the Delphi Digital thing. But anyway, if I were to go back to OpenSea, let's go to rankings, click on Axie Infinity. Actually, we click on my items, sign into my wallet, and then click on Axie Infinity, and then you can see the most recent ones I've purchased between 3.5 and 2.9 and 3.5 Ethereum. These are all Mystic Axies. And Mystic Axies, I think I've gone through this before. There we go. But you can see here, back when I was buying them, the cheapest Mystic Axies were around 2.9 to 3.5. And it was suddenly like a lot of buzz was going on. So I was like, all right, well, these are going to get bought up pretty quickly. And you can see here, if I sort it by the lowest price, the current cheapest Axie is about 5 Ethereum, Mystic Axie. At least one part has to be Mystic. So, and there's only 191 for sale. So if you were to look at all of them, oops, lowest price, all 1,141 Mystic Axies. Looks like there's only 141 for sale though. So let's go for sale, lowest price. Only 191 for sale, sorry. So, like if there's any buy pressure and someone just suddenly wants to put like say 200, 300 Ethereum in Mystic Axies, well, he's going to push the floor all the way down to probably like 10 Ethereum. If any mini whales come in and step in and buy these Axies. So, for me, it's a lot about like, and I've kind of been watching these go from like 0.5 Ethereum to what it is now. So for me, it's a lot about watching the growth and seeing, wait a second, this has been growing sustainably for 1 to 2 years. There's a catalyst coming that suddenly, there's a gameplay of land coming out. Some big investors are getting involved. Looks like the user base is growing as well. And Twitter indicated to me all of this stuff. Look at the data. You can see that the price is increasing steadily. That's when I make my move, right? Again, I could have, probably a better approach would have been for me to message people and try to do a bulk deal. But I was noticing a lot of people buying the 2.2 Ethereum Mystics, 2.5 Ethereum, they were all kind of becoming gone pretty quick. So it wasn't the time to kind of negotiate. Things were moving really fast. So I just ended up almost market buying the cheapest 12 Mystic Axies. But at the moment, look, it looks like it's at 5 Ethereum floor. So I can, my 12 Mystic Axies that I bought for around 3 Ethereum, so 36 Ethereum all each. there'd probably be around 12 times 5, 50 to 60 Ethereum, I'd say. Somewhat of a safe bet. Is that right? What's 12 times 5? Yeah, that 50 to 60 Ethereum. Let's just say be on the safe side and say 50. But you know, if I wait a little bit longer, it looks like these keep going up. So if I just keep waiting a little bit longer, they're going to go to 6, 7, 8 Ethereum, who knows? And that's, maybe I'll sell at some point, or maybe I'll just keep it for a very long time because the user base continues to grow, right? Anyway, that's a little bit of the mindset that I have when purchasing and how I let data try and govern my moves. And negotiating is a big part of it. Looking at stable projects is a big part of it. Just because there's a new project that says, hey, we're going to do this, here's a pre-sale. Guys, I've seen so many pre-sales come and go in the NFT space over the last 2 to 3 years. And so many projects this great idea, sell out like 500 Ethereum worth of their rarest items, and they don't have a game. Like they just go into they just go heads down, spend their time developing, spend the next 1 to 2 years coming out with a product. And so early investors are kind of squeezed out because of 1 to 2 years. There's no real demand to use those NFTs. With Axie Infinity and other projects like Decentraland and Land and all that stuff, it's different because you have that land which is currently being used. People are building on it. People are visiting it. The user base is growing. With Axie, every tournament they hold has more users playing the game. The game is addictive. It's already out. They're making big moves that aren't about what's coming, not just people are enjoying it, what's already available. And that's the difference. So for me, it's not about what's new and hot. It's about what has been established for the last 2-3 years that is about to go exponential. Because not only will they go exponential, but they'll stay and be able to keep that momentum. And or that's sort of a price point, because it's not hype filled, it's kind of user base growth filled. So for me, that's what I look for. I know a lot of people just ask me on Twitter, especially, what do you think about this project? What do you think about that project, up and coming? I don't really care about up and coming projects. If you can't prove to me that you're in this, you've been established and you've provided for your user base and kept them happy for 6 to 12 months onwards, I'm personally not interested. I don't like to, I guess, gamble on new projects. That used to be the 2017 ICO me. Now I'm a little bit more, if a project comes to me, it's quite established, it's about to look. For example, Axie Infinity has maybe 1,000 players every tournament. That's so microscopic still in the larger game, the larger scale of things, but it's pretty big in our NFT niche. It's probably the biggest, most played game currently, right? But you know, as this niche expands, do you want to invest in something that's already proven to you it's going to work, or do you want to invest in something that hasn't proven that and still has 1 to 2 years worth of development ahead of it? If the industry blows up, these guys already have a game that they can show that works, that people are interested in, that people play, that pays people, that will, you know, do really well. Now, Axie aren't the only game. There may be others. I think there's so many other games out there that probably have a great gameplay as well. I'm just talking about Axie because I've invested in it, so I know the mechanics of it. But, you know, this is just my mindset going through some of the stuff that has gone through my investment decisions.